Dr. G thought he could twist the truth and walk away unscathed, but he clearly underestimated the power of the people who have been watching his every move. For years, he's presented himself as the wise and supportive husband, the calm, rational man who only wants to protect his wife and lead their marriage with love. But behind closed doors, that's a whole different story. Letitia, his wife, had been struggling, pacing on the beach, stressed over their relationship, while Dr. G played the role of the tough guy. He had no problem showing his energy when confronting her. But when, another man stepped up to challenge him, all of a sudden it was, no disrespect, no disrespect. Isn't it ironic how he could muster the strength to put down his wife, but not face a man who was on his level? But here's the kicker. The moment the footage hit the internet, the truth about Dr. G's behavior was out there for the world to see. The lies, the contradictions, and the sheer audacity of his actions left people in shock. Letitia had genuinely been trying to hold it together for him, but behind the scenes, Dr. G was controlling, manipulative, and gaslighting her at every turn. People close to them had been defending Dr. G for a long time, but the moment the footage dropped, everything changed. The truth was no longer whispered behind closed doors. It was caught on tape. Fans and followers quickly turned on Dr. G, demanding an apology, and rightfully so. How could someone present themselves as a hero, as someone fighting for their marriage, when their actions behind closed doors were so toxic? And Letitia was tired. She was done playing the role of the victim. She had given so much to this marriage, and now, in front of the entire world, she was taking a stand. She had every right to be angry, and she wasn't going to sit back and let Dr. G continue manipulating the narrative. You might think this all came out of nowhere, but trust me, Dr. G's behavior has been consistent. For years, he's been able to present himself as this misunderstood man, always the calm one, always the victim. But let's be real for a second. This isn't the first time he's been involved in controversy. Remember the mess with Contessa? That situation exposed a lot about Dr. G's behavior, control, manipulation, playing mind games, and now we're seeing the same patterns play out with Letitia. Dr. G had always been able to get away with it, spinning the situation to make himself look like the innocent party. But this time, it's different. This time, the proof is undeniable. And once the receipts dropped, there was no way Dr. G could continue pretending that everything was okay. The footage that came out revealed Dr. G's true colors. He had been manipulating Letitia and gaslighting her for so long that it was almost second nature to him. When she confronted him about his behavior, he didn't own up to it. Instead, he flipped the situation on her, making her seem like the problem. He had a way of twisting every argument to make himself look like the victim, but the world was finally seeing him for who he truly was, a man who enjoyed having control and power over others. And let's talk about the leaked video, the moment. The internet saw that footage. People were furious. Dr. G had been acting like the supportive husband in public, but behind closed doors, he was cold and disrespectful. You could see it in the way he smirked while Letitia was clearly upset. That's not a man who cares. That's a man who enjoys making others feel small. But what really sealed the deal for Dr. G was the way people reacted once the footage went public. His supporters started backtracking. Those who had been defending him now had to eat their words. Even some of Dr. G's own friends and allies were distancing themselves, realizing that they had been turning a blind eye to his toxic behavior for far too long. And now they were left with no choice but to admit that Dr. G was in the wrong. Letitia, on the other hand, had some tough decisions to make. How do you move forward when the whole world has seen how your husband really feels about you? The reality was harsh, but Letitia wasn't going to back down. She had been through too much, and now she was ready to take control of her narrative. The truth was out, and there was no turning back. Now let's talk about the fallout. Social media exploded the moment the receipts dropped. People on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube couldn't stop talking about Dr. G's behavior. The internet went into full meltdown mode, and Dr. G quickly became the target of everyone's anger. The manipulation, the gaslighting, and the lies were all laid bare for the world to see. But here's the thing. When the proof is right there in front of us, it's hard to deny what's going on. Dr. G had always been able to twist the narrative, to play the victim, and to manipulate situations to his advantage. But now, the evidence was irrefutable. He couldn't talk his way out of this one. And what about Letitia? Well, she's not the one people should be pointing fingers at. She was the one who was manipulated, who was gaslit, and who had to deal with Dr. G's toxic behavior for far too long. But now that the truth is out there, it's time for her to make decisions about her future. Does she continue to let Dr. G back into her life, or does she take the opportunity to start fresh? Dr. G's reputation has taken a huge hit. His career, which once seemed untouchable, is now in jeopardy. People are questioning whether he deserves to stay in the public eye. The brands that once supported him, they might be rethinking their partnerships now. The trust that he had built up with his fans, it's shattered. If Dr. G wants to save his career and his reputation, he has a lot of work to do. An apology is the first step, but it has to be genuine. No more deflections, no more excuses. He needs to take responsibility for his actions and show that he's willing to change. If he doesn't, it's safe to say that his time in the public eye might be over. As for Letitia, she's shown the world that she's not afraid to speak up, she's not afraid to take control of her own story, and she's not going to let anyone manipulate her anymore. The support for her is growing, and people are rallying behind her as she moves forward. So now the big question, can Dr. G redeem himself, or is this the end of the road for him? Can the public forgive him for the way he's treated Letitia? Or is his reputation too damaged to repair? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates as this story continues to unfold. The drama isn't over, and you won't want to miss the next chapter. As we continue to watch this situation unfold, one thing is clear. Dr. G is facing the consequences of his actions like never before. For so long, he's been able to control the narrative, play the victim, and manipulate those around him. But with the footage and receipts now out in the open, the public has seen through the facade. The man who once presented himself as the calm, rational one has now been exposed as a manipulator, someone who used gaslighting and emotional control to keep others in check. Letitia, for all the criticism she's faced, has been the victim in this entire scenario. She may have stayed quiet for a while, trying to hold things together, but now the world is finally listening. What's fascinating about this whole situation is how quickly the narrative shifted once the truth came out. Those who had previously defended Dr. G, who believed his claims of being misunderstood, are now the ones backpedaling. They've had to come to terms with the fact that their support was misplaced the moment the receipts were dropped, whether through leaked videos or audio recordings. There was no denying the manipulative tactics Dr. G had been using. People who were once on his side now see him for what he really is, a man who cannot take accountability for his actions. Letitia, on the other hand, has become a symbol of strength and resilience. In a situation where most would have crumbled, she chose to speak out. She didn't allow herself to be victimized any longer. Instead of hiding behind closed doors, she confronted the reality of the situation, and she made it clear that she was not going to accept Dr. G's toxic behavior anymore. She doesn't need to play the role of the victim anymore. She's taking control of her own life, and that's something to admire. But the question still lingers. Can Dr. G redeem himself? The public's response has been overwhelmingly negative, and his career is now hanging by a thread. If he wants to salvage his reputation, there's only one path forward: accountability. Dr. G has to take full responsibility for the way he's treated Letitia and everyone around him. No more deflections, no more excuses. He needs to show that he's genuinely sorry for his actions and that he's willing to work on himself. For now, the damage has been done, and Dr. G's career and public image are facing serious scrutiny. Fans, brands, and even those closest to him are reevaluating their relationship with him. The trust has been broken, and it will take a lot to rebuild it. However, as we've seen in the past, people are sometimes able to redeem themselves if they truly change, but that change has to be real and lasting. If Dr. G continues to spin his lies and manipulate the situation, he risks disappearing from the public eye for good. Letitia's journey is just beginning, and it's clear she's not afraid to move on and let go of someone who has treated her poorly. She has every right to reclaim her happiness and move forward, and the support she's receiving only continues to grow. People are rooting for her, and her strength in the face of adversity has made her a role model for many. Letitia's journey is just beginning, and it's clear she's not afraid to move on and let go of someone who has treated her poorly. She has every right to reclaim her happiness and move forward, and the support she's receiving only continues to grow. People are rooting for her, and her strength in the face of adversity has made her a role model for many. The real question is whether Dr. G will learn from his mistakes. He has to show that he's capable of growth, or he'll continue to be seen as a person who never truly took responsibility for the harm he caused. The public doesn't have a lot of patience for people who manipulate others, especially when the evidence is clear. Dr. G can apologize, but will that apology be enough to repair the damage done? The one thing that's certain is that this drama isn't over yet. The internet is still buzzing with reactions, and the world is watching to see what will happen next. For Letitia, it's about moving forward and finding the peace she deserves. For Dr. G, it's about whether or not he'll own up to the harm he's caused and try to make amends. What do you think, though? Is Dr. G capable of redemption, or is it too late for him? Can Letitia truly move on, or will the past continue to haunt her? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more updates as this story unfolds. Trust me, this is only the beginning, and there's a lot more to come. Stay tuned because you won't want to miss what happens next.